strength to carry on. Open your heart, set your mind at ease. Live your life and you'll be free. We're gonna rise, rise, rise. Keep on rising, rise, rise, rise. Keep on rising, rise,
Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the Toon review for tonight's match review of Newcastle United 0, West Ham 2. There is a lot to go through tonight, undoubtedly. My name is Paul. I am joined by Billy, and Alex has got work stuff going on, so can't be with us, and of course Sam as well. So it is me and Billy taking you through the evening show tonight. But if you do enjoy it, as usual, hit that thumbs up for us, and of course subscribe to the channel if you are new and you like what you see, and also our second channel as well. Don't forget that. We are launching some shows on there this week. Possibly Billy is doing a Madrid game on Wednesday night, which he's very much looking forward to. So, yes, please do sign up to TTR Xtra. That link is pinned at the top of the description of this show. And, of course, a big thanks to Mamaroo Records as well for sponsoring the Toon review. If you're ever around in Whitley Bay, pop in to see Steve in the centre there. Andy will do you a good deal if you mention you're a Toon review subscriber. But if you can't get to the shop, they are online as well. And that is also pinned at the top of the description. So go and have a look for some music, vinyl, merchandise, all that kind of good stuff. You can support the channel in the usual two ways. First of all, via membership, of course. Great prizes coming up this week for our members again. Hit that join button. And, of course, you can super chat the channel, which is the $sign at the bottom of the live comments, which will also guarantee your comment to be read out on the show. Good evening, Billy.
Good evening, and good evening to all you beautiful yet slightly frustrated people out there in Viewerland.
Yes, there is a lot of frustration, and mainly aimed at the manager again, Billy, it has to be said. I've just caught a comment there saying, is TTR on Blue Sky yet? I must get that account sorted on Blue Sky. My colleagues are on there, but I am not. But what I'm thinking is having a poll at the Toon Review one and a main Toon Review one. So
I think I'm there on my own, to be honest. I don't think Sam or Alex is on there yet.
All right. Well, we'll have to get our fingers out our backsides and sort that out. Now, Billy, yesterday was, for me, a 90 minutes just of pure frustration again. It was one of those games where, you know, we started really, really well. We looked really up for it. We had a goal disallowed, obviously, for offside. Isak's lovely little finish over Fabianski. But after that, you know, West Ham go and score a goal out of the blue from a corner, which was awful defending from Kelly. We'll talk about him, no doubt, through the show. And, of course, we then go back to attacking, but the final third again lets us down, where the final ball or the creative aspect of the game, it just wasn't there. And many people are saying about Eddie Howe. We'll come on to him in a minute, but the players themselves, Billy, the frustration of not being able to get that killer pass.
Well, the first 9 minutes, as you say, we were fantastic. You know, we were creating chances, looking like we're going to score at any given time. And strange enough, the same thing happened in exactly the same way in the second half as well. Yeah. Except it only lasted 8 minutes that time before West Ham scored. Carbon copy. And it's not the first time it's happened this season. It's happened 3 or 4 occasions where we've started like a train and been derailed very, very quickly and not gone back to anywhere near it. It's worrying. It's worrying. And you can blame the players, but I think you have to put the players on the pitch to do the job in the first place. And Eddie Howe isn't doing that. He's not doing it at all. We saw West Ham play with a 5 in the middle of the park, really, you know, with a 3 up front and with a 3 behind the front man and 2 behind. And Bruno was against them on his own, virtually. You know, he was trying to compete with 5 people. We can't do that. You just can't do it.
Yeah.
And you've got to pick the right side. Our best side is not picked for 3 games.
Mhm.
He keeps playing Sean Longstaff. He shouldn't be in the side. Simple and straightforward as that.
Now, a lot of people are asking me to do a poll tonight about Eddie Howe, but it's not actually letting me. So I can't actually do a poll anyway. So I don't know why that has been taken off out of my hands to do that, which is weird. No. There's nothing there giving me an option to do a poll. So we can't even do a man of the match at some point in the game, but we'll talk about that. We've had a super chat in from Martin Brophy. Thank you, Martin. With Sam Fender playing at St James's Park this summer, what's happening with the stadium build, or does it look like we're moving somewhere else? Well, listen, even if we've got a new stadium, Martin, the fact is it wouldn't be for quite a few years yet anyway. So, yeah. I think that's the least of our worries at the minute, to be honest, Martin. I'm not really bothered. I mean, I actually know Sam Fender, but I'm not. We're not here to talk about Sam tonight. It's very.
Just think about it, Martin. We've got European Championship games at St James's Park in 2028. Nothing's happening before then.
Yeah. I mean, look, people are going on about Eddie Howe. I mean, I can understand why he picked the same side, Billy. I mean, yes, he had to change the centre back because obviously Dan Burn was suspended. But when we played against Arsenal and Nottingham Forest in the way we did and won the games and won them very well, let's not forget, it's frustrating because I can understand why he picked the same side. But then if we're going to have a lot of possession like we did, why isn't Tonali in there? Because Tonali's never going to get up to the pace of the Premier League, in my opinion, sitting on his arse on the bench.
Well, absolutely not. And it's about maintaining possession as well as doing something with it when you've got it. And Sean doesn't give us that. Sean gives us a little bit of physicality. Is it more than what Tonali gives us? I don't think so. I think Tonali's just physical. He's quicker, that's for certain. And he's quicker up here, which is the more important thing. Sean needs 3 or 4 seconds to understand what's going on around him, by which time he generally lost the ball. Tonali sees it 3 seconds before the ball gets to him, and therefore can get us on the front foot.
Yeah.
There's not a situation, as I can see, as a football watcher for 50-odd years, where Sean Longstaff gets in any side ahead of Sandro Tonali. Not one. Not one.
Yeah. It's becoming a bit of a joke now because I'm seeing things written in the press and written on social media today, thinking, is there a problem there between Eddie Howe and Sandro Tonali? Or is it just because he is such a big fan of Sean Longstaff? Somebody has to miss out, and it's going to be Tonali. But I don't see that. I honestly see a man in Tonali who is playing so well for his international, for his country, and can't get ahead of Sean Longstaff. It does not make any sense, Billy.
Not just for Italy. He played fantastically well for us in the 2 games he had for us.
Yes.
Or 3 games. He was outstanding. And then he was rested. Could understand it to a certain degree. So Longstaff could get amongst them with the Arsenal game. But after that, he should have been back out again. And Longstaff and tonight should be straight back in. Yeah. It's ridiculous, honestly. I don't know. I don't know whether Eddie Howe doesn't trust Tonali or what. I don't know. I really don't know. There's no rhyme or reason for it for me. I don't get it at all.
Derek says Billy dropping his guts was the highlight of last night's game. I don't think Billy realised how loud he was yesterday.
No, I didn't.
Oh dear!
Thanks for Doug from the dugout channel. He time-stamped it.
Yeah, time-stamped it. Absolutely superb. Now, Rich says here, no problem with Howe's team selection, but his game management is really bad, showing he's not an elite manager. That was apparent last season, to be honest. Now, we did mention this yesterday, and I mentioned it in my reaction video, that over time, we have to see the best of Eddie Howe, and that means in-game management as well. But his in-game management, Billy, for me, was absolutely dreadful yesterday. It was terrible. Some of the substitutes, yes, he had to make, but I didn't understand him taking Joe Linton off. I have no idea why he did that because he's not injured. And then Kieran Trippier comes on, and then he moves Livramento to left back and puts Lewis Hall in the middle. And for me, it's one of those where Eddie's just sort of. I think you mentioned it yesterday. He's panicking and he's putting players in square pegs in round holes, trying to get back in the game. And the last half hour was just. I mean, we were all over the shop.
It's not the first time we've seen it. We saw it last year at Dortmund away in the Champions League, where he was continuously swapping Trippier and Livramento from right back to left back, trying to find something that worked, and none of it did. After, by the way, playing Lewis Hall for the first half,
Yeah.
he got himself booked. He was a never booking in a million years, but it seemed to dent his confidence somewhat.
Yeah.
Half time, he took him off, and then they were swapping between the two of them, trying to get back in the game. Nonsense. Everton away last season. He started off with Isak up front with Anthony Gordon on the left. Changed it halfway through the first half, but it wasn't really working. Anthony Gordon had 2 or 3 chances, missed them, and then he swapped them back again. Just basically panicking, just trying to do things for doing them for the sake of doing them, really.
Yeah.
There's no rhyme or reason in any of it, what he does. Last night was ridiculous. I really thought last night. Joe Willock had to go off at half time, probably injured, probably because of Sean Longstaff, because he crocked him. So obviously he's got to make a change there. So why not just bring Tonali on for Willock?
It's a very strange thing to do. I mean, it really was. I mean, David's saying that maybe Joe Linton came off because he wasn't playing well. Well, I'm sorry, but he was better than. I think he was better than Bruno yesterday. You know, you can't when you're trying to come back in a game. Despite your best players not playing to their capabilities, you don't take off your best players because they've got an opportunity to create goals, whether it's just for a brief second or not, to get back in the game. And, you know, I just didn't agree with it. I didn't. Harvey Barnes, fair enough, came on at half-time. He looked lively after the break, but then faded out a little bit, as the team did. I think that...
Why not just make the one positional change? Bring Tonali on. Just bring Tonali on for the midfielder, because that's where Willock was playing, midfield. Just bring the one change. They haven't got to change all the players around then.
Yeah.
It's got to be the most sensible thing.
Yeah.
And Tonali plays in the left-hand side role for Italy. And does it fantastically well, strangely enough.
Yeah. We've got a super chat in from John Cook as well. Thank you, John. The top managers pick the best team for each match, regardless of form. Eddie sticks with his favourites, even if they aren't good enough. Has this put Eddie back in a little bit of pressure, Billy, given that that I know Agent Tech said Eddie said in the press the subs were poor. We've got a snippet from Eddie's interview, which we'll come on to. Nick Thornton, thank you very much for your super chat as well. Can anyone tell me what Tyndall does all week? Well, Billy
puts cones out, collects bibs.
Yeah. Billy's not Billy's not a fan. And I can understand that. But has, the good work of Arsenal and Nottingham Forest, Billy, has it put him back under a little bit of pressure, given now we go to Crystal Palace, who you mentioned yesterday? They're in the same situation as what West Ham are. Terrible start of the season. But they'll look at West Ham's performance yesterday and think, hey, these can be got at here.
Especially at Selhurst Park. And if we're to lose that, we've got the ongoing Liverpool game. Then after that, you don't expect to get anything from that. We might do, but, and if we look to lose those two, could be down in 14th place again. And if we have in 14th place coming up to Christmas, then there's got to be pressure on him. There has to be.
I'm going to ask you a question now, Billy, and this has been banded around all day on social media, right? Do we as fans, overrate some of our players? Because are we expecting too much from these players? Are we overrating them to be higher in the league because of the Champions League season than what these players are? Not all of them, by the way, because we've got some very, very talented players. But are some of them being a little bit overrated by us?
One or two of them are. Absolutely, one or two of them are.
Yeah.
But I don't think, for instance, Bruno Guimaraes is overrated.
No.
Well as Andrew Isak. Or Anthony Gordon, for that matter.
Well,
or Joe Linton, but certainly one or two of them are.
I've seen a lot of fans today, Billy. By the way, Laura Gallagher, thank you. Been with us for a member for 3 months now. How won't be here come January window, she says. But I've seen various people, Billy, talking about Anthony Gordon, and it's an interesting point that he played so well last season. Has he regressed?
No,
because I actually think he has.
I'll tell you why he hasn't.
Go on then.
He's been shifted from pillar to post. Wing to wing.
Well, yes.
At one point yesterday, he was playing in the number 10 position.
Yeah.
No, not number 10.
Yeah.
He might wear the number 10 shirt, but play him on the left-hand side, and Anthony Gordon will get you at least 10 goals a season and maybe 10 assists on top. He hasn't had that luxury this season. It's been shifted from there to the right, to the left, to the right. They've bought Harvey Barnes, don't know why. He's never going to be anything more than a second choice to Anthony Gordon, in my eyes. No, I don't think he's regressed at all. I think he just needs to play in the right position.
maybe I've used the word regressed wrong, but it's what I mean is he's not the player he was last season because of maybe what you've just mentioned there, moving from the left to the right to the middle. He hasn't been in his number one position for a number of games, where he could just stay there and Eddie Howe say to him, right, go on the left, stay on the left, get us some goals. But I think he was given confidence by the way Joe Linton and Willock then performed on the left, and it kind of sent Anthony Gordon out to the right, although Joe Linton started on the right yesterday, didn't he? And Gordon struggled to get into the game. But there's so many questions, I think, Billy, that came out of that game yesterday that are very difficult to answer. We're all sitting here as fans thinking, wow, there's just nothing there. Some of the players' body languages yesterday were very much of a, it's happening again.
It's a confused nature because they're not, it's just changing things all of the time, constantly tinkering in game and not making things better, and select strange team selection before the game. They're confused. They don't know what they're doing half the time. Some of them.
Well, David says, agree, Paul Gordon has been a shadow of the player he once was. He only turns up for England nowadays. I've seen that mentioned a couple of times that he's thinking.
Well, he played fantastically well against Forest. Played really well against Arsenal.
He
apart
did.
from the last two games, and Chelsea as well.
So there you go. Steve says, Paul, I do think we overrate them. One world-class player, and that's Isak. The reshare good players and squad. The rest are good players and squad players, says Steve. Jake says Gordon needs to be on the left. He's the best player in the league at the position. But I mean, this is down to Eddie Howe, then, if that's the case, Billy. This is down to the manager not being assertive. If he's got one of the best left-sided forwards in the country in Anthony Gordon and he's moving him around just to get Willock and Joe Linton into the side, is it assertiveness with Eddie that's the problem?
The problem is they never signed a right winger in the summer. Had we signed a right winger in the summer, none of this would be happening now.
Mm-hmm. Interesting. Claire says Gordon has annoyed me as he seems like he gives his all for England and average for us. The reason why Tonali is not starting because Ashworth signed him. Howe didn't want him. Well, if that's the case, Stephen, Eddie Howe has a lot to answer for. If it, it's a very hypothetical thing to say, but I can understand why you're saying it because you kind of look and think, well, there is a massive gulf in class between Longstaff and Tonali. And many people are saying, oh, well, yeah, but when Tonali starts, he hasn't been at his brilliant best. He's still getting used to the Premier League. He hasn't played that many games in the Premier League for a start, and he's not going to get up to the pace if Eddie keeps sitting him getting splinters in his arse, Billy.
You've got to build your side around him. That midfield should be the best midfield in the country.
Well, that's what we said at the start of the season.
It really should be. Tonali, Joe Linton, and Bruno Guimaraes. Should be. But they never get a chance to play together because he has to keep picking bloody Sean Longstaff in it.
Mm. I mean, Sean yesterday was well. I mean, he was
crap.
Yeah, okay. And just, but again, he stayed on the pitch for so long. It beggars belief that we had so much of the ball in that first half. Right, we needed a quality player that can unlock a defense. Right. Now, many people, again, will say, well, Tonali hasn't done it for us yet. But Tonali has the capability to open defences. We've seen it for Italy. We've seen it for Milan. That's why we signed the Sodden player. And if we haven't got a guy as class as Tonali in the side, look what he's doing for Italy. He's scoring goals. He's assisting goals. But he can't get in his domestic side for Sean fucking Longstaff. It doesn't make sense. It really doesn't.
You only need to watch the two players receive the ball from a simple square pass. Mm-hmm. Sean Longstaff takes 3 seconds to understand it's coming to him, another second to get it under control, and by that time, someone's on his back and took it off him. Tonali, that never happens to Tonali. Never happens to Tonali.
Well, I mean, a perfect example of that, Billy, was I think it was the first half, wasn't it? When Sean got the ball and he meazed into the half of West Ham's half. And then I think it was Antonio, wasn't it? Came up from behind, made a brilliant tackle.
You'll lose this.
Yeah, and he lost the ball, and West Ham went in the attack, and Sean screamed at the referee with his arms out, saying, "Oh, it was a foul." It wasn't a foul. It was a brilliant tackle because you are so fucking slow, you can't get there. And by the way, when Tonali did come on, he put 3 or 4 fantastic passes through for Jacob Murphy, a couple for Isak, a couple for Wilson. So, that's exactly what I'm talking about, the delivery that this man has. Nick Thornton, thank you for another super chat. Tonali needs a long run of games, gutless manager. I agree. He needs running the side. How can you come over from Italy and try and get up to the pace of the Premier League when you've had a year out through suspension and you're still trying to get used to the pace of the league? But you can't because Eddie's just playing you for 15 minutes here, 20 minutes there. It's disgusting, man.
You know what's going to happen, don't you? They'll pick him for the Liverpool game.
Yeah.
And everyone will say, oh, he's shit. Liverpool beat us 5-0. Where was Tonali? Where was Tonali? That's what's going to happen.
Of course it is. And he's throwing him under the bus.
And Eddie Howe be like that. See, I told you.
Yep. Throwing him under the bus. Keith Truscott, thank you for your super chat. If Tonali continues to lose out the long shite, he's not going to stick around. He needs full playing time. Chippers, thank you for your super chat. Why are we not playing to Isak's strengths? What is Howe saying to the players before the game? Well, I mean, there's another frustrating side of the whole thing, Billy, because, Isak had a wonderful time away with Sweden again, and then he comes back to us and looks a shadow of the player. You can tell his confidence was up the way he took that offside goal. If you look back to his one-on-one a few weeks ago when he didn't have he panicked in front of the goal. This one, just a beautiful little chip over Fabianski into the net, confidence sky high. But after that, we just don't play to this guy's strengths.
And when we do, and it doesn't happen anywhere near as often as it should, he looks threatening. The volley that went just wide of the post was an outstanding bit of play. Just put it wide. The chip over the goalkeeper. He's a man banging form. We're not getting the ball to him. When we do get the ball to him, something happens. So why do we keep doing it? Bruno did it once. Lewis Hall did it once. That's it. The whole game. No point lumping in crosses for him to compete against 2 6'4" centre halves. Because that ain't Isak's game. You've got to feed the channels.
Another super chat in from Peter McCardle. Thank you, Peter. If Sean starts against Palace, I'm finished with Howe as manager. Well,
if Bruno's out injured, which he could be.
Yeah. There you go. But look, I sometimes I do question Eddie, and I really do, and I think it's justified. We praise everybody when everything goes well. We were very highly praising of Eddie Howe when we beat Arsenal and we beat Chelsea and we beat Nottingham Forest. But criticism has to be made as well. And I think we're very justified to give him the criticism from yesterday. But also the players, because the players need to start taking responsibility as well for the lack of consistency. How can they play so well against Arsenal and so well at Forest and then not turn up last night? I mean, yes, there's the international break, but we've had a little bit longer spell to have the players back than what other teams have. But the international break affects everybody.
It came at the wrong time for us, no doubt about it. No doubt about it.
Yeah. John says we never play to the strengths of our best players. Isak, Gordon, Tonali, Bruno. We don't see the best from them because of Eddie. Paul said it was a horrible watch. The game put granddad for second time.
Yeah, he become a granddad for second time.
All right, congratulations, buddy. That's fantastic news. Really is.
Compared to you, I felt 30 years old after watching that as well.
Yes, it does age us a bit when we're commentating. Claire says we did exactly the same at Forest on that free kick as we did for the corner. Luke says element of complacency in that performance yesterday. Yeah, definitely. I think we expected to turn up. And listen, we as fans thought that, and the West Ham fans thought that as well.
And dare I say, if Dan Burn wasn't suspended, we'd probably get a 0-0 draw out of that.
Anyway,
it's true, isn't it?
You are right, Bill. Of course you are. We said that yesterday. Ricky says it's a travesty what he's doing to Tonali, one of our highest purchases, and he benches him. It must be mentally harder than the ban for him. And watching Longshite. It's got to be tough. Narek, thank you for your super chat. Understands Howe's reasoning behind the subs. Chasing the game, bring on Barnes and Tonali. Couldn't unlock the low block. Brings in Murphy and Wilson for crosses in the box. But oh my, did Murphy suck. I actually thought Murphy put a couple of good crosses in, but and we probably should have had a penalty in fairness as well.
We should have done, no doubt about it.
You know, that was a foul on Callum Wilson. Mavropanos was just literally all over the back of him. But there you go.
Penalty all day, every day.
Yeah. Susan says, we could play better, but to be fair, it's the most competitive league in the world. Keep the faith. I love Susan's positivity. I really do. She is a very positive fan. And yes, we have to keep the faith. We have no choice but to keep the faith, because if we lost the faith, then where the hell does that end up? Where are we as fans if we lose the faith? I think Eddie and the players have sort of just ruined what they did in the previous couple of Premier League games. They've ruined it, because, you know, now it's all about, oh yeah, you can only sort of turn up at home against the big teams. We played well at Forest, and we should have beaten West Ham, given the West Ham season. But let's take nothing away from West Ham United, by the way. When they scored yesterday, it was like a massive cloud had lifted above them, and they started playing some free-flowing football. And we know that they've got some good players, because we said it in the summer when they signed them. So it's not like West Ham are a poor side. They just needed a kick into gear. And that goal they got, Billy, it did kick them into gear.
They were in a false position. They've got a fantastic squad of players.
Mm-hmm.
And it's taken till now for the manager to get them gelling. The manager totally outcoached Eddie Howe last night. He really did. He stifled the midfield. He stifled Bruno. Soler followed Bruno everywhere he went. Couldn't get near the ball on his own with any space. So you've got to give Lopetegui credit. You've got to give West Ham credit. They were the better side. They deserved a 2-0 win. No doubt about it. No doubt about it. And those fans have travelled up from London at a stupid time on a Monday night. Fair play to them. It's, you know, it's not a nice thing for fans. We know that more than anyone, having to travel to Southampton and Brighton, a place like that. But yeah, they deserved the game. And they're in a false position. They're a good side, West Ham. They've got some great players. And you saw the best from last night. Lucas Paqueta, not seen that from him all season. He was outstanding last night.
Mm-hmm. Oh, here we go. Remember your video saying we need to stop questioning Eddie, Paul? You were just appeasing the happy clappers. No, I wasn't. Tom, are you a bit like null up there? The video was to ask everybody, should we now stop the pressure on Eddie Howe? That was all that video was. Like most videos, it's involving the community, asking questions, what we should be doing. Should we support Eddie? Is the support still there for Eddie? That's why I did that video. Should we lay off him and let him get on with it? Were we wrong? Were we wrong to criticize? That was what that video was all about. But then when you see a performance like we did last night, it opens up the question again. You know, do we have blind faith in Eddie or not? Because he made mistakes again last night. But the players were to blame as well. I'm putting the whole lot of them together here, not just Eddie Howe. Paul, why do you always be negative after a defeat? It's one game. Fair play to West Ham. They deserve to win. Give credit to the opposition. And please stop blaming Howe. Billy, I'm going to let you answer that, because I'm just going to get fucking annoyed.
Eddie Howe picked the side that got beat by West Ham. Simple and straightforward as that. And then when things weren't going right, he wasn't able to change it positively. Not good enough.
And I'm sorry, but we praise the team when they win. We have a right as fans to criticise when we lose. And yes, it's only one game, but I am sick to death of people saying, oh, it's only one game. It's one game that could cost us at the end of the season.
And it's not only one game, is it? It's not only one game.
No, it's been quite a few games this season.
Away, Brighton at home, Everton away. Last season, Luton, home and away. Everton away. There's lots and lots of games. It's not one-offs. Mm-hmm. It's a selection of one-offs. There's loads of them.
Honestly,
if it was a one-off, we wouldn't be doing it, would we? We wouldn't be criticising after one performance like that. But we've had lots of them. We have.
Jack says the same way Sandro's not up to speed. Kelly is in the same boat this season with little game time. I agree. I think Kelly's come in for a lot of criticism, rightly so yesterday, because I think his marking was terrible for the first goal. I thought that he dealt with Antonio very well. The battle between him and Antonio was great to watch. And I thought he did put in a good performance battling him. But some of his positional play was way off yesterday. But that could, again, be the fact that he's been on his ass for all the season. And then he's thrown in, as soon as there's a suspension, thrown in at the deep end. Anyway, listen, guys, we've got Eddie Howe. And I want to play what Eddie had to say after the game. So let's have a listen.
So Eddie, defeat this evening, what was your assessment of that one? Yeah, it was a tough game. We knew it was going to be. I think my initial assessment is that we started the game brightly, but the goal we conceded definitely changed the game. They changed the feeling of the game. They changed the momentum of the game. It's an obvious statement, but I think that first goal was a difficult one for us to accept, having started the game so strongly and looked like we were the team carrying the big threat. And then I thought we responded really well to that and continued to attack in the right way and created chances. But then we conceded the second. I thought we didn't react well to that moment, and that's probably the biggest disappointment of the day.
Yeah, both goals were conceded in the early stages of both halves. Is that quite difficult to take, given, like you've mentioned, you made a bright start to both halves?
Yeah, it feels like we were the dominant team, and then I don't know whether it's a lack of concentration or whatever it is. But of course, I'll look back and probably have a better reflection having seen it again. But uncharacteristic for us, because we've been good defensively this season. That was a disappointing defensive performance, and we can see 2 goals and then we give ourselves a big challenge, but nothing that we haven't overcome previously. But I don't think we chased the game well. I don't think we had a good look about the group for the last half an hour, and that's probably still with me.
What did you make of that, Billy?
Well, the last half an hour was after he made them changes, so
Yeah,
he's kind of criticised himself, hasn't he?
he has. And I think he probably understood that he did throw everything, but it was very much square pegs in round holes, and that doesn't help. It doesn't help at all when you sort of we would just it was just everything on the pitch, Billy, and see if we can get a goal back and go from there, wasn't it?
Absolutely, yeah. It was. There's no design there. It was just throw some things in the air and hope they land nicely. Yeah, it was rubbish. Honestly, it was rubbish.
Yeah. Listen, there's a lot of comments again coming for me. When calling me for being negative and stuff like that. This is a match review, guys. A match review of a match we've just lost 2-0 to West Ham and didn't play very well. I'm not talking about anything else bar this game last night. And this game last night was very, very poor. There's nothing to shout and scream about and blow smoke up people's arses for that performance last night. This is the match review of the West Ham game. And that's what it'll be, whether you like it or not. So if you're a happy clapper and think everything's rosy in the garden every single match, this isn't the channel for you. Because we are 100% honest on here, and we will give our honest review of this particular game. So just, dear God, dear actual God, I don't think there wasn't anything that came out of that game as a positive, Billy, surely.
Well, the fact that they wanted it more than we did, that's got to be the biggest thing.
Yeah.
They and when they scored, they grew, and we shrank. And, afterwards, for the first 10 minutes, we were first every second ball. After that, we weren't. Not very rarely were we. So, yeah, it's concerning that when we do go behind, that sometimes the heads do drop. And after that first 10 minutes, you can kind of understand it because we were playing really well to fall for the sucker punch like that. But then you really should pull your sleeves up and say, well, how we've been playing that 10 minutes, keep up with that, we'll get back in the game. They never did. They weren't allowed to.
Yeah. Do you know what it is? If somebody like Alan Shearer came out yesterday and said, it wasn't too bad, it was okay, we'll get on to the next game, let's not worry. You'd think he was an idiot. So, but he's got sense. Alan Shearer, etc., are not frightened to come out and say that Newcastle played poorly or it was dreadful, right? Because I actually don't think we played too badly in the first half, but it was the final ball that let us down. But we've been saying that for so long this season. It's mental. Look, I am still behind Eddie Howe. I don't want him sacked, but I can criticize the man. But just because I criticize him, it doesn't mean I want him sacked. But he has to start learning from mistakes. He has to be better in game because it's letting us down.
I think personally, really prolonging the agony. I would personally like to see him get moved on now.
Really? You're there.
We're just prolonging the agony. How many times have we been here?
Well,
it's not a one-off. This has happened a dozen times the past year.
Well, yes, it has. Yvonne says, quite right, Billy. We were bullied by the West Ham boys. They came with a plan and executed fully for the win. But saying that, right, I think if we'd scored in that first 9 minutes, or that goal was allowed to stand by Isak, Billy, I think we would have buried them because their heads would have dropped because of the way their season's gone.
Yeah, without a doubt. We had to get the first goal because we didn't. Yeah, you see them physically grow. But that's what the Eddie Howe thing, he's not learning. He's not learning.
It's like Groundhog Day a little bit. I understand
It's
that.
definitely Groundhog Day, yes, without a doubt. And to think he's going to suddenly change all of a sudden when he's not done it yet after all these occasions, I think we're deluding ourselves a little bit.
Wow, interesting. But we've got another super chat in from Nick Thornton. Thank you, Nick. Howe doesn't learn and won't change. I mean, he has been accused of being very stubborn, hasn't he, and things like that. But I just think the whole lot of them have to be better. Eddie has to be better. The players have to be better. And we have to respond in a positive way on Saturday at Crystal Palace because they're going to be up for it. They'll have seen that game last night and thought, right, what's to worry about Newcastle United? Look at the way West Ham got into them and upset the rhythm kind of thing. We can do the same. And Palace have got some decent players as well, Billy.
Yeah, exactly. They're another one that are in a false position. They've lost a couple of players from last season when they give us a good audience at Selhurst Park. Let's not forget that. But they'll see us as a soft touch, and why wouldn't you? They've got the blueprint of how to beat us with a bit of grit and determination. Saw from West Ham last night.
Yeah. We've got a super chat from John Cook. Uncharacteristic. We've been conceding sloppy goals all season. Eddie talking crap there. We have been conceding sloppy goals. If you look at the goals we've conceded this season, they've been very, very sloppy. Kieran, thank you for a super chat. He says, I don't want Eddie to change players' positions during a game. He needs to do it in training. Yeah, he's trying things in game, Billy, that are clear that maybe they don't practice on in training. It's a good point.
Absolutely. I mean, maybe they have done it in training, but they looked like fish out of water last night when they were tried. I mean, Lewis Hall at midfield, just to, I felt sorry for him. Or I'm doing it in a pre-season friendly or in training, but to throw him in the deep end for the last 10 minutes of a game that you're chasing, I felt sorry for him actually in midfield, and he still did okay. That's not his position, is it?
The one player that came back yesterday was Callum Wilson, Billy. And I actually think Callum did very well when he came on. He looked very hungry. Should have got a penalty. But this is what Callum had to say after the game.
On a positive note, though, it was your first appearance since May. How pleased are you to be back on the pitch after what's been a long spell out on the sidelines?
Yeah, it's been a torrid time, to be honest, but I'm glad to be back. And I've worked hard to get to this point. I appreciate all the help from the staff, everybody who's helped me along the journey. Thank everybody at home for their patience as well. And season started now. It's time to start putting some goals in the back of the net and helping the team.
Obviously not the result you wanted, but being back on the pitch, are you just raring to get as many minutes under your belt as possible and help the team as they go on in the season?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, for me, it's about building. Today was an opportunity to do that. First game, West Ham, a team that I've scored goals throughout my career against, so I was looking forward to that. It wasn't meant to be, but I have a personal target of goals to get into the 100 club this year, and it's something that has been long overdue to get going, but I'm sure sooner or later get back on the score sheet and start building towards that.
So that was Callum Wilson's thoughts after the game, Billy. Wants to get back into the 100 club, wants to stay fit, wants to keep playing, wants to bang in the goals. What did you take from that?
I was very impressed with his performance, actually, for someone who hasn't played for so long. I thought he looked very sharp. I think he looked like he looked quicker as well.
Yeah.
He looked like an extra yard of pace. Of course, once he came on, the crosses stopped coming in. That we were throwing into Isak. But yeah, I was quite impressed with Callum Wilson, and let's get him on the pitch. Let's get him on the pitch because he's a fantastic kind of last 20 minutes player for Isak, or half an hour.
Well, whether he's staying or going in January, we need to get the best out of him in December. Simple as that. We need to get the best of him between now and the transfer window. If he goes, he goes. But if he's gonna, if he is gonna stay, we need to get the best out of him because, whatever we think of Callum Wilson, he is a fantastic striker. If when fit, he knows where to go. He knows the positional play in the box, and he knows how to score goals.
Absolutely. There ain't many better English strikers for goal scoring. I mean, that's literally what he does. He's a goal scorer. He's fantastic at it.
Yeah.
He's a fantastic asset to have. Yes, he's coming to the end of his career. Yes, he probably won't be here next season. But let's make use of him while we've got him.
Yeah.
Why not?
Yeah, absolutely. Terence Ankers, thank you for your super chat. Agree with Billy. 2 good games. This has been poor for a while now. Enough is enough. Susan Fagan, thank you for another super chat. Eddie to go, huge overreaction in my honest opinion. That's fair enough. People have their opinions. I mean, look, there's a lot of people want Eddie out. There's a lot of people want Eddie in, but that's just the way football works.
I just think we're prolonging it, though. It's sooner or later it's going to happen. Why not do it now and get someone in who can have a proper go at it in January?
Yeah.
If we leave him till January, let him spend some money, then he goes in February, March, April, whenever, we're back to square one again with players that the new manager might not want and back in PSR trouble. So it makes sense to do it now. Get him out of the way now.
Yeah. Ian Hogg, thank you for your super chat as well. We shouldn't have to score first in order to win at home.
Quite agree.
It's a good point. JJ says we are sussed out yet by other teams who have now written us off. Sorry. Danielle says the big question about Eddie Howe is, can he manage big name players in the big games? I think there's still some doubts that he can. John Cook says I've wavered on Eddie, but I think this time I finally settled that it's time to move on. Now, obviously, let's not have a dig at people who want Eddie gone, because there's always going to be, when your team is in this situation, we are not where we wanted to be in the league table. I know it's only a few is it 9, 10, 12 games in or whatever it is. We're not where we want to be in the league table. That is blatantly obvious. So, when we lose games like this, and again, I'll reiterate that we keep losing these games. These games that we need to win to keep up with the big boys. We're doing well against the big boys, and then we're slipping up time after time against teams we're expected to beat. And if we're to be up there challenging for European places, we should not be losing these games. And that's just fact. That's not fantasy. If we want to be in Europe and playing in Europe, we have to win these games. And it's time and time again. Look how many times we slip up against teams that we're supposed to beat. And it's not just this season, it's last as well. So, we need to look at that as well. But there is always going to be fans who want Eddie in and fans who want Eddie out. That's just the way football works. We can't be arguing about it between us as fans, because we'll all have different opinions as fans about the manager. But what we need to talk about is just talk about what we're seeing on the pitch on a match review, which is the match last night against West Ham. It was not good at all. I think it's a step back again when we were certainly going in the right direction earlier on, Billy.
But the games when they were going in the right direction, we were never behind the 8 ball. We're never behind, when we have to come back from a bit of kind of adversity, and the manager panics like that, you got no chance.
Yeah. I mean, the problem is if the worry I've got is if the manager's panicking like that, then what's it doing to the players?
Exactly. And he didn't do it at Nottingham Forest, for instance. So why last night?
Yeah.
It's I don't get it. I really don't. But
right. Well, let's do the player ratings, Billy. Only me and thee to do them tonight, but take part in the chat, please. We'll start off with Nick Pope, Bill.
I'll give him a 6. I can't really say that he could have stopped either of the goals. Made a couple of good saves. Generally okay. Not poor, not great. Just a 6 for me.
I mean, to be fair, Nick Pope didn't have a lot to do.
No.
Save-wise, I mean, he didn't have a chance with the goals. But that's, I'll give him a 6 as well. I think it was a difficult night for Nick Pope because, I mean, his kicking was still a bit iffy. Let's be fair, but I'll say it again. That's not going to change now. Not at his age. He is what he is. Tino Livramento, Billy.
No, I thought he had a good game. I thought he was very good, but again, it's when he gets into the final third where he starts wondering what he's going to do next. It's the problem with him. Defensively, he was good, and getting us into that bottom third, last third was good. I'll give him a 7.
Okay. I've gone 6.5, Billy. Again, because I think he's very good going down that right-hand side. And I think he defended okay last night. But again, like you said, the final third, when he's bombing forward, he just seems to stop and turn back. And would be very critical of players in the past that have done that. Peter Garthwaite, thank you for your super chat. Having spent nearly 400 million, if you were the board, would you trust Eddie with any more money?
I'm not sure it's Eddie that spends it, Peter.
Yeah. It's a bit harsh saying the manager spends it when you've had Ashworth there, who clearly has made signings. I think we'd all probably say that Ashworth made signings that haven't necessarily impressed Eddie Howe. And we'll see what happens in January with Mitchell, but that could be a reason. Lewis Hall, Billy, I'm going to give Lewis Hall an 8. I thought he was a standout player for us yesterday. Yet again, this kid just does it time after time. He just looks the part, doesn't he?
Well, he was a star amongst the team last night. Best player we had by quite a way, actually.
Yeah.
And the kid's absolutely riddled with class. He's fantastic. I'll give him an 8.
Yeah. He just doesn't panic, does he? He's starting to become very mature when he's on the ball. He's starting to make less errors, if you like. He's taking the safe option all the time, which is what we want to see. So I thought he was great. Fabian Scher, Billy.
Very poor. Very, very poor. Passing was awful. Attitude, again, at times looked dodgy. I'll give him a 5.
5. Okay. I've actually given him a 4. I thought he made a couple of good passes, but the rest he was dreadful on yesterday. And looking back at his marks, Billy, I think apart from the 2 wins, he's not really impressed.
No, absolutely not.
He's having a bit of a tough time at the minute, is Fabian Scher. But I mean, look, we know that when Botman was there, those two were very, very solid. They had a very good understanding of where each other is on the pitch. And we really do miss that. We really miss it. Lloyd Kelly, Billy.
Well, I agree with you. I thought in the main he was really good. He was competing with Antonio. He looked really good in a couple of last-ditch blocks. However, you can't take out the goal, the first one especially. The second one, he should have come out to try and block it instead of stand doing his usual backing off thing.
There's a photo of actually when that second goal goes in, Billy, and the West Ham players are away celebrating in the corner. You can see Kelly in the background, and he's still got his arms behind his back.
I mean,
he's walking back to kick off with the arms behind his back still.
You've got to get out and now the angle there. You can't just back off, let the bloke shoot. It's poor, really poor. For two moments of the game, it was awful.
Yeah,
the rest of it was okay. I'll give him a 4, but that's mainly because of the goals.
I've given him a 6, but that's mainly for his positional play with Antonio. I thought he roughed him up brilliantly and got into his head. Just not good enough on the marking, etc., which kind of let him down in a way. But he hasn't played. I mean, this guy's getting, he's getting thrown in the deep end when there's suspensions and things like that. I actually think Lloyd Kelly is a good player. But but we can't judge him just on that performance yesterday when he hasn't played a lot.
No,
it's oh dear. I think, but that again, do you look at the manager for that? I'm not sure. Anyway, Sean Longstaff, Billy.
I blamed him for the second goal yesterday, and it wasn't really his fault. He was coming over to cover the fullback, so it probably wasn't his fault for the second one. But his performance wasn't great. He needs 5 seconds before he can kind of get the ball under control and decide what he wants to do. You haven't got that time in the Premier League. The past 2 games, okay, he's done okay. He's done really well, actually, for his standard. But I would say Longstaff's best isn't as good as Tonali's worst. So he can't be playing. I'll give him a 4.
Okay. Yeah, 4 for me as well. Exactly the same reasons. I just don't. Sometimes I look and I think I just don't understand what's going on. What Eddie sees in training to justify it, I don't know. Because look, some people bang on saying, "Oh, Longstaff, he's there for his tenacity, his tackling, and stuff like that." Tonali can do all those things. He's proved that for his previous sides. He loves to get stuck in. He loves to tackle, but he also loves to create as well. So it doesn't make sense anymore. I've run out of patience with the whole Longstaff Tonali thing, to be honest. We have to have him back in the side. Bruno, Bill.
Yeah, not great, but again, it was one of those occasions where he was doing too much on his own because he had no one with him. Paqueta outplayed him, let's be honest. And yet there was a spell in the first half where You know, he was pinging balls left, right, and centre, and we thought, it's going to be another one of those Bruno nights. Didn't turn out that way.
Yeah.
5 for me.
Yeah, I've gone very similar, Billy. I've gone 5.5 for Bruno. Just couldn't get going. Just couldn't get going yesterday. And you know, people are putting in that he's not a captain again. Look, I'm not bothered about the captain side of it. Yesterday was a game where we needed him to win his battles, and I don't think he did. And he
was in too many of them. That's why.
Yeah. But I mean, I've just seen a comment again, you know, from Susan saying Sean does a lot of stuff that goes unnoticed. Susan, you've got to take your Sean blinkers off. I know I love your positivity, I do, but at the same time, it's not a bad thing to criticize sometimes, and you cannot put Tonali and Longstaff in the same bracket. You just can't. Willock, Billy.
I felt sorry for Joe. He wasn't playing well anyway. It wasn't his kind of game. Probably shouldn't have been playing. Probably should have been Joe Linton there. And the midfield and strengthen the midfield up. It didn't go his way, and then he got cropped by his own player to make things even worse. I'll give him a 4.
Yeah, by the way, it was Longstaff that wiped him out. Just, I mean, it was mental. It was mental. What did you give Willock, Billy?
I'll give him a 4.
Yeah, I've gone 4.5. I love Willock. I really do. I love what he brings, but I think you're right. I don't think it was his type of game yesterday. Joe Linton, Billy.
Yeah, very impressive on the right-hand side when he did that little bit of trickery to get him away from 4 players with a little bit of tippy-tappy. Probably our best midfield player, or whatever. If he played a midfielder on the wing, give him a 6. I thought he played pretty well.
Yeah, I've gone for the 6 as well. I think, you know, Joe Linton, he offers so much. You know, it's his physicality, but he's also skillful on the ball. He can help going forward. I didn't understand this substitution. I didn't understand him taking him off. It was very bizarre for me. Anthony Gordon. Dear. I've gone with a 4, Billy. He didn't play well yesterday for me.
I agree. Yeah, I agree. But being shoved from pillar to post, back to the pillar again.
It doesn't help. It doesn't help at all.
And to have him in the middle yesterday, at one point, playing as a number 10, as Stato kind of pointed out, trying to make these little cute balls in behind the defence. Doesn't suit his game whatsoever. Yeah, I think 4's fair. I think 4's really fair. Okay. He did get kicked early, mind you.
Yeah, to be honest, there's a lot of 4s coming in the chat. A lot of 4s. 4s and 5s, really. And finally, Isak, Billy.
Yeah, I mean, clearly a player who's in peak form. We couldn't get the ball to him.
Yeah.
And when we did, he did things with it. You know, the volley that just went wide from the chest down from that pass from Bruno was outstanding, just a couple of inches wide. And then the chip that wasn't allowed for offside was brilliant. But aside from that, did he really get in the game? Not really. I said to you in the second half, we're 20 minutes in, has Isak touched the ball second half yet?
Yeah,
we didn't think he had.
Yeah.
I'll give him a 5.
Yeah, I've got 5 written down here as well. I think we're pretty bang on the play ratings there, Billy. We each sort of looked the same. Right, Harvey Barnes was the first substitute on Billy. He came on at half-time.
It started promising, but then he kind of just, you know, similar as, you know, as the rest of the team, really. Because the first 8 minutes, we were great again. But once they scored after that, forget it. So, 5.
Yeah. I've gone 5.5 because I thought he did look quite lively when he came on, but
8 minutes, so.
yeah. Right, who came on next? Let me think.
Tonali, was it?
Tonali
come on with
Murphy. And Wilson and Trippier, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Okay, Tonali then, Billy.
When he had the ball, he was okay. But again, he was trying to get back a 2-goal lead. I'll give him a 5.
I've gone with a 6 simply because a couple of the balls that he put through were absolutely fantastic.
Yeah.
One for Jacob Murphy that I don't know if you can remember it, Billy.
Yeah,
First time pass, he won the ball, and then a first time pass out of the right hand side, which was absolutely perfectly weighted, just for Murphy to run onto and hit first time cross. Just what we need, really. Jacob Murphy, mate.
Hard one to score because he did some good stuff, but he did some bloody awful stuff and all.
I thought the first few minutes he was on the pitch, he put a couple of really good balls into the box.
He did. He did.
And then faded away.
He did. 4.5.
4.5. I've gone 5, so pretty much on the same thing. But that's the problem with Jacob Murphy, though, Billy. He's got a wonderful cross in him, but then all of a sudden, it just goes. It just disappears, and it's really confusing.
It doesn't help him having Livramento beyond him. I think he needs like Trippier's more confident in the final third, and Livramento isn't. I think it suits Murphy more to have Trippier behind him than it does Livramento. Yeah,
absolutely. Callum Wilson, Billy.
Yeah, some promising signs there. I'll give him a 6.
Okay, I've gone for a 7. I thought he was excellent when he came on me. I thought we've missed that little sort of scrappiness, if you like, in the penalty area, before crosses come in or making runs and things like that. He does things that Isak doesn't, because Wilson is an out-and-out number 9.
Should have got a penalty as well. Should have got a penalty.
He should have. And I would have been interested to see who took that penalty with Gordon, Isak and Wilson all on the pitch, Billy. Or Gordon had gone off by then, hadn't he? So I would have, between Isak and Wilson, who would have took the penalty?
Well, Isak's missed his last one, so I would imagine it'd been Wilson.
And finally, Trippier. I mean, what do we give Trippier? He wasn't. I mean, I thought I'm going to give him a 5.
Yeah.
Now, Billy, Edward Howe.
Team selection was wrong. In-game management was poor. Substitutions were poor. I'll give him a 2.
Ooh. Ouch. Well, I'm saying ouch. I've given him a 3 for exactly the same reasons. I think I'm getting a little bit sort of patience is running out a little bit, especially when it comes to in-game management, etc. It's just not good enough. I don't understand what is being said in the dressing room before these games or at half time, to be honest, because it's like we came out punching yesterday, then we came out punching again for the second half, but for some reason we conceding silly goals, and it's got to stop. And the fact that I think we're 4th worst in the Premier League for goals scored, which is a worry given the players that we have in our squad. Things have clearly got to change, starting with Palace. But Palace, Billy, it's an old school 3 o'clock kickoff on Saturday. It's been a funny stadium for us to go to in the past. We either come away with a point or nothing. So we've got to come away with 3 points on Saturday, surely, because if we lose again,
well, then we've got Liverpool next.
And look where they are. They're absolutely flying at the minute. So that is not going to be an easy game at all. But it's disappointing. It's disappointing, but we put it to bed now and obviously start concentrating on the Crystal Palace game. That for me is going to be huge to see how we respond. I expect to see a big response from these players, Billy, and from the manager.
100%. Yeah. If we see the same again, then you can basically say off your trot. I mean, Liverpool, we'll probably raise our game for them and be gallant losers, but we shall see. We shall see.
Yeah, we always. We always do. We step it up for some reason against the big sides. We always do. Nick Thornton, thank you for another super chat. If Longstaff starts at Palace, Howe needs sacking. Well, we'll see what the injury front is. But plenty more coming up on the Toon Review this week, guys. Tomorrow will probably be a new show during the day. Billy is making his debut on TTR Xtra with Madrid against. Who is it against, Billy?
Liverpool Madrid. Yeah,
Anfield. Liverpool Madrid from Anfield. So that's going to be a cracking game. That will be on TTR Extra. So make sure you are getting yourself subscribed to that channel if you haven't already done so. We're very, very close to making it to 1,000 already, Billy. It's incredible in 3 days since we opened the channel up. So, Billy, We'll be doing that. Thursday night, we've got obviously the preview of the Palace game. Friday, we've got Eddie Howe's press conference, and I'd love somebody to ask him about the Tonali Longstaff situation. I really would, because I certainly would be if I was in there. Mark Bland says, I'm forever blowing bubbles. And rightly you should be. Rightly you should be. You played very, very well yesterday and deserved the 3 points. Johnny's been a member for 15 months. Eddie, for me, is out of his depth and would have been gone last season if the injuries didn't mask it. Oh, wow. Yeah, so Friday we've got press conference reaction, TTR Friday. Saturday, of course, match day live with me and Billy again. Live commentary from the game at Selhurst Park. Can we bounce back is the question. But again, thank you very much for tonight, guys. Thank you for your super chats and memberships. Obviously, thank you very much to the mods and Billy as well. Please go and subscribe if you haven't done so already, if you like what you see. And, of course, to our sister channel, TTR Xtra. That's pinned at the top of the description. And, of course, a massive shout-out to our channel sponsors, Mamaroo Records. If you're ever in Whitley Bay area, pop in to see him in the centre for your music love, which is vinyl and merchandise, etc. And mention that you're a Toon Review subscriber, and I'm sure Steve will do you a cracking deal. If you can't get to the shop, check them out online. That is also pinned at the top of the description. But thank you very much for spending an hour with us tonight, guys. Disappointment from yesterday, but now it's time to put that one to bed and concentrate on another trip to London at the weekend when we take on Crystal Palace. So we will see you all again very, very soon. But in the meantime, enjoy the rest of your night, folks. Take care.
Away the lads and lasses.
Come back and check out some green.